The electrification of transportation is a hot topic everywhere, including in Canada. And there's a new poll out about how Canadians and Americans feel about electric vehicles. So we're going to talk to Mario Canseco, who's the pollster who conducted the survey. So welcome to the interview, Mario.
Great to be here, Markham. Thanks for having me.
Look, why don't we start out with an overview of the survey that you did?
Well, the idea was to figure out the next purchasing decision for vehicle owners who do not have electric vehicles. We wanted to have a sample that represented that group. There's going to be a lot of discussions about what your next vehicle will be. There's different rebates in specific parts of North America if you want to buy one of these vehicles. And we wanted to get a taste of, what their appetite was. And I guess there were a couple of big surprises for me. The first one was that the appetite for electric vehicles is actually higher in the United States than in Canada when we figure out who wants to buy something. And the other one was the gender gap. I was expecting women to come out in favor of electric vehicles or making decisions geared to that. And we see a big gender gap in the two countries. It's men who are looking at the electric vehicles as an option more than women.
Now that's really interesting. And does that have anything to do with, I don't know, guys just seem to be into car culture far more than women. And it seems like, EVs have become sexy tech, higher efficiency, lots of torque, there's a better drive in many instances. Is that contributing to it?
I think that is definitely contributing to it. It has become a very interesting situation because it has become more about the branding. It's when you're thinking about the EV of your dreams, you're probably looking at a higher model Tesla and not necessarily a smaller vehicle like the ones that were sold 3-5 years ago. The one issue that is also interesting is one of the deterrents, particularly for men, is the feel of the vehicle. The notion that you're going to be heading into a car that is not going to make the same sounds, that is not going to feel the same way as a vehicle like the one you have right now, but it's definitely one of the lower concerns. So it's a bit of a chicken and egg thing. You do see men who are more likely to be car people saying, yes, this would be a lot of fun, but you also see that same group saying, I don't know if this is going to sound like my Mustang, so maybe I'll just keep it.
Well, I'm one of those guys. I drive an Infiniti G35 and it's got a little bit of a growl and a little bit of torque, but I've driven electric vehicles, and if you're a driver, you think of yourself that way, the EV has way more torque, which makes it a lot of fun in urban environments in particular, and they actually handle really well. So I can kind of see that argument.
Well, and what we continue to see as the number one factor that is deterring Canadians from buying electric vehicles is the price. And again, we get into that situation. You could definitely buy a new vehicle that is more affordable, but if the vehicle you're dreaming of is $45,000, then that is going to be something that you take into consideration. The other thing that really is more of an issue in Western Canada is what happens if you can't find a place to charge the vehicle. And that has been consistently higher in BC, in Alberta, Manitoba, and Saskatchewan. And to me, this really speaks about a lack of information. There might be a lot of places where you can charge vehicles, but that still makes a lot of would-be owners uneasy about the fact that their battery could run out in the middle of a place where they're far away from anything.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I've interviewed American EV analysts who say the same thing. Their surveys are showing that charging infrastructure has moved from the fourth or fifth most important issue up to the second most important issue, right behind purchase price. And so that doesn't surprise me at all. Now, are we going to see, are people waiting for the next generation of batteries? Elon Musk says, hey, in 3 years, I'm going to give you a $25,000 Tesla. I mean, if I was looking at buying an EV, I think I'd wait for the $25,000 Tesla.
That is definitely something that we see. There's this tendency to look at something that is technologically advanced as something that you'll wait for when the price is right. I guess the best example I can think of would be DVDs. We had a situation where people were asked, we're no longer going to make VHS tapes. If you want to get the latest movie, it has to be on DVD. And now we're looking back on DVDs as a joke, now that everything is happening online. So there's definitely that opportunity for those who want to change their vehicle into one that is electric, to try to wait for the price to come down a little bit more than it has. I mean, it's definitely not the same situation that we had before, certainly with the higher end models. But there still is that tendency from non-electric vehicle owners to say, well, if it comes down to a specific sweet spot, I will definitely think about it.
Now, final question, Mario. I've read a number of levelized costs of driving. So that figures out over the cost of a vehicle's life, what the cost is per kilometer. And it's pretty clear now that for electric vehicles are, well, I wouldn't say significantly, but they're definitely cheaper per kilometer to drive. And the more you drive, the cheaper it gets. So, and that has to do with maintenance and, you know, that sort of thing. Are are consumers picking up on that, or are they still focused on the purchase price, the sticker price?
Well, they're definitely more focused on the sticker price. I think it's been difficult to explain some of the advantages that this could have down the road. And the other issue that is really crucial, especially in the urban areas, is the lack of a place where you can charge the car. If you live in an apartment building, you're going to get into a lot of discussions related to who pays for that infrastructure. Is it infrastructure for the entire building? Is it something that you have to pay for yourself? So what we're seeing here is quite the split between rural Canada and urban Canada when it comes to this. If you're in a city and you live in a place where you don't have a place to actually charge the vehicle overnight, you're less likely to say that this is what you want. If you're in rural Canada and you're in a place where you're driving 2-3 hours and don't want to get stuck, that's the main concern. So it's important if we're looking into a situation that would make more Canadians and Americans choose this option. It's ultimately about information and infrastructure. If you can discuss those two things with those who want to purchase new vehicles, then we may see more electric vehicles on the road.
Mario, thank you very much for this very interesting insight into EV buying habits, and we'll look forward to our next chat about, well, your next survey.
Thank you so much.